Hi, friends. I'm Agata Pawlak, and this is the Life Switch Show. It's a live show which can explain and will explain why sometimes we will have strange things happening during these broadcasts. But this time it's going to go flawless, I'm absolutely sure, because, well, I will tell you soon why it's going to be a flawless episode. Today I've got Agata Pawlak joining me, and we're going to be talking about why you should stop running away from your problems. Now, before we get into that, I want to say to everyone who is watching and joining now live from maybe perhaps YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you get notified every time we go live and we put out any additional content. Also, if you're joining on Facebook, you might want to have a look at my page, Agata Pawlak, Business Mindset Coach. That way you will get notified and updated about anything and everything we put out there. All right, guys, make yourself comfortable. We are soon going to be bringing in Agata and explore this very juicy topic of today. So the reason why I'm absolutely sure this is going to be a flawless episode is, well, Agata is part of this show. She is actually one of my producers helping me run this show. So having her in front of the camera and having her partner behind the studio, I'm quite sure this is going to be a flawless episode. So let me introduce Agata for you guys. If you don't know Agata yet, she is, well, Agata, you're going to have to bear with me. I've got a little bit of an intro prepared for you. So you're originally from Poland, lived in Sweden, north of Sweden nonetheless. And anyone who's been to Sweden, the north of Sweden is different than any other place of Sweden. So, big honors for being up there. And she is currently residing in sunny Tenerife of the Canary Islands. Agata is a content creator, social media manager, YouTuber at Women's Health Made Easy. She's an event speaker, and for you who's been paying attention, she is the co-founder of Cruz Creative Media together with James Tucker that was on the show a couple of episodes ago. And today we are talking about running away from your problems. So a big welcome to my friend and my colleague, Agata Pawlak.
Hello there. It's nice to be here on the other side.
You look fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I tried to look exactly like on the thumbnail today, so it all fits.
I think you did a great job.
Yeah. How are you today? Why am I asking questions? No, let me be the guest for now.
Because you're so used to having that role, I'm sure. Well, I'm actually really good today. I've myself personally, I had some breakthroughs around, messaging and business and stuff like that. So I'm on a good roll. So thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm okay. I had pretty long day, but I have found time to go on the beach for 1.5 hours. So those are the perks of living on Canary Islands. Still end of March, we got a little sunshine, so can't complain.
Yeah, that is good. That is nice. Well, so today we're talking about I think a very interesting topic. Now, this topic is wide and broad and everything. What I know from about this topic is that it's a personal topic. It's based really on your own personal story. And I kind of want to just say that this is one of the reasons why I wanted to start the Live Switch show, to have people come on here and talk about their own personal stories and the switches they created and how they overcame that. And here we go, another fellow from from Poland, Emilia. Nice to connect with you, Emilia. And share their own stories this way and how they overcame them. And I think today we're going to have the opportunity to really listen and go deeper into that, because there are some really powerful things that you've faced and you've overcome. And I think you have a lot to share about that. Before I let you, maybe expand on that a bit, let me just say, like, for anyone who is joining live right now, say hello, let us know where you're joining from. Drop any questions, any comments you want into the comment fields. If you're watching on Facebook, you can do that there. If you're watching on YouTube, just put it in the comment sections. That way we can pull that into the show. We can then answer your questions or interact with your comments. All right. Happy to have everybody here. Here we go. All the way from Sweden. 12 points. Wow. There we go.
Shine like the sun.
Yeah, and you do. You do. So, Agata, okay, so stop running away from your problems is kind of the headline. Why is that important, and what made you come up with that? Like, where should we start? Tell us more about you, I guess.
Yes, I think it would be a good start to actually dive a little deeper into my story, because I think it will explain where did I even come up with this thing. So as you mentioned, of course, before, I was raised in Poland. I'm Polish, from Łódź. Everybody, if you're watching from Łódź, hello there. So I've been living in Poland until I was around 20 years old. And, of course, life is never perfect, and we all have our own problems, in families, maybe some traumas, maybe, I was, for example, an obese kid. So I was quite ridiculed at school, slightly bullied, and I just never felt at home in Poland. I don't know if it was for that reason, but also maybe something about the culture. So I made that switch, life switch, and I went to Sweden. And I went to Sweden at the beginning for the Erasmus program. And I decided to stay. I stayed for 3.5 years. Then I moved to Berlin. I stayed there for 8 months. I moved to Poland. I stayed there for 1.5 years. I moved back to Sweden, and now I'm in Spain. And there was the point in my life when, every time you make such an important decision, you want to second guess yourself, right? Because you wouldn't make huge switch in your life before trying to think, okay, why am I doing this? But it only dawned on me recently why I was doing all of that. And I think that the big problem for all of us, I don't want to say everything in 5 minutes, which probably won't happen. But I noticed that the common factor is that every time my next destination was supposed to solve something that I didn't have. And this is something that dawned on me maybe, just recently, really, because I even remember this time when I was moving here to Tenerife, and I was living in north of Sweden then, and of course, north of Sweden, very, very dark. And I didn't mind the cold there, which most people think that the cold is the problem. No, the darkness is. So I physically started having problems, not even mentally, but physically started having problems with lack of vitamin D and all of that. So, and also I was very, very anxious. And of course I was like, this is darkness, and something else. It's again, oh yeah, the work is very stressful, this and that. I'm going to have the ocean. I'm going to be able to go to front of the ocean, and that is going to solve my anxiety, which of course didn't happen. So after doing this certain amount of time, then I think, of course, growing up in the process, I noticed that it wasn't a solution. And that something has to change, because if I caught myself thinking this, if I am in sunny Tenerife, everything is good, sun is shining, and I'm sitting at home paralyzed with anxiety, clearly it's not Tenerife's fault, right? I mean, it cannot get any better than seeing, beautiful ocean and sunset from your window. So the problem has to be somewhere else. So yeah, that's how I started kind of thinking about this.
Well, I think you've kind of opened up a door about this powerful thing about like chasing the next thing, looking for the solution to the problem. And it's almost, in a way, in our industry, and I'm talking about like, the online industry of programs and apps and systems and software and stuff like that. We have sometimes an issue with the shiny object syndrome, right? There's always the next thing, and you want to invest in that because that's going to be my solution to all my problems. And you try that thing, and it didn't really work out. So you try next thing, and it's almost like you're describing that, but on a much, much larger scale, where you're actually changing countries, all over the world. I think it's just amazing. And to get to that point where you realize that, hang on, wherever I go, there I am, and and there my problems are as well.
Exactly.
It is quite insightful. Some people would say, I'm going to argue. Some people would say it can be, what's the English word here? It can be discouraging to realize that whatever I do, nothing changes. Did you ever come across that? Like, did you ever feel like you've tried so many things, yet nothing really shifted? And before you answer that, can I just, say hello to some people? Because I saw Sarah Jones from London said hello. We had someone from Poland,
Yes.
Warsaw. Yeah,
He
yeah. Here
actually,
we
that's
go.
my friend. He used to live with me in Umeå as well. So he's been through all of that as well.
A fellow Swede, almost. Yeah, that's cool. That's
Polish
great.
Swedish, another one.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy you guys are joining. Thank you very much for doing that. So, Agata, over to you. Like,
Where
you
did we
ever
finish?
yeah, did
Would
you
you
ever
like
feel
to?
discouraged from
Absolutely.
doing all of these things and yet not having the shifts and switches you wanted?
Yeah, because I think this is the type of thinking that we adapt to many things in life. So for me, I was blaming the place. Some people are blaming jobs, some people are blaming relationships, and create that change there, right? Because you really try to find a solution, and the most horrible and difficult part is that it works for a little bit
Yeah.
because you do have this honeymoon phase of this new thing, right? Like, yeah, as you said, like you can do online shopping as well. You get the new thing, it makes you feel good about yourself, and then it disappears and you're empty again. And I know that, yeah, some people search for it, changing jobs all the time or changing relationships. I never had that mindset. However, I knew always that I have to find my place on earth, and trying and thinking again, because I love Sweden. I love northern Sweden. I always feel like it's my home in some part, just because so many changes in my mindset happened there. And so I'm very thankful almost for that place. But when you try, and for example, there was this moment when I was living in Sweden, then I moved to Berlin because I was trying to find, that actually was connected to my previous relationship, because I hope that will help as well. We're going to move to a little bit more lively place. There's going to be so many more things to do. That of course didn't work out. Then I ended up in Poland because I have to, but I already wanted to go back to Sweden. And when I went back to Sweden, when I left, and I was leaving for almost 2 years, thinking about going back, and that eventually didn't work out. It broke my heart because that was everything. And then I didn't have it. It's you put so much investment and you put so much hope into that is going to be the new thing. Now it's going to work. But it doesn't. And yeah, it definitely was discouraging for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm realizing the potency, I think is the English word for this, the potency of this conversation, really. This is definitely something that I'm super, super passionate about. Like, this is what I call this self-leadership. And what I mean by that is how you live your own life, how you live life on your terms. Because something that I often teach when it comes to life coaching or managing life and change is the circle of influence. So the circle of influence, and if I'm not remembering this incorrect, I think this is what we discussed once in a cafe where I did all those elaborate illustrations. The circle of influence is kind of like you're in the center, and then there is a circle around you. So you're the center. You're that thing that you have like 100% control over. Like you control yourself. The circle around you is everybody else that you know, like family, friends, partners, colleagues, and whatever. And then there is an even bigger circle outside of that, which is, you could say, society, the country, the world, global issues. Now, every time you blame someone or something for your circumstances, you are giving away the power to change. And every time we feel anything, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this. Every time you feel any negatively charged emotions, and I'm calling them negatively charged because I don't think they're bad or good. They're just signals. Anytime you feel negatively charged emotions, sadness, anger, frustration, disappointment, something like that, it is telling you that you're somewhere outside of your circle of control. Because you're now spending more time focusing, blaming, shaming, guilting, trying to manipulate or control things that are way beyond your control. Whereas if you were to return to your circle of control, and you started working on that piece, even though it might feel hard and challenging, of course, because it can be, at least you have a sense of momentum. At least you're kind of spending time, energy, and investing your precious attention into something that you can control. And that gives you some ownership.
Yes, but if I can add to it,
Yeah.
I would think that the biggest trap here is when you feel you cannot control yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
then you panic. You want to control anything else.
Yeah.
Because you find yourself overwhelmed with your own emotions, and you think, for anybody, I will be open about it, I struggle with really bad anxiety. So being an anxious person, you constantly live in fear. And that fear causes you to want to control everything around you, because that gives you the sense of stability. Funny thing, like even I read an article that people who are super anxious last year, 2020, fantastic, locked in at home. Why? Because they can just be locked in their safe four walls. Nothing attacks them. They know they can predict their day and they feel great. So clearly, in my case, traveling around the countries, you might think, wait, something doesn't add up here. But I had control over that change. I didn't have control over my emotions, and I didn't have control after my mental state. And you said, of course, you can change it. But I think that the problem here is, you know how people say, yeah, you can lose 20 kilograms without depriving yourself. And you're like, this is some BS, right? Because it's like everybody says that, but I feel that I'm losing control. So how do you even start when you feel like you can't? That's what I had to discover, because I thought I thought I was raised like this. My whole family is like that. We all have the same negative mindset. It's just what it is. And I think the biggest shift had to be in, I will do everything that I can and grind as long as I can until it will give results. Because it's not easy, as you said. People tend to think that, people tend to like mute this part of the conversation, that it's like, oh, it's not going to be easy, but what is the but? Okay, so I will quickly feel better. No. It won't be easy. It takes years to change your brain. Years. There are neural connections that have to be completely reframed. It's like you're all of a sudden starting to work in this muscle when you were always doing only tricep all your life. You have to relearn your brain to work in a specific way.
Yeah.
And that's a huge challenge.
Yeah. No, I think this is a great conversation to have, that, it's... personal development or growth can definitely be hard. And I think, because I do have a personal opinion here, that it can be hard, which is why the way I approach this is that I start very, very small. So that, because if you look at it, not just how it feels, but actually, as you mentioned as well, the reconditioning of the brain almost requires you to go at this in a very slow pace. Because if you don't, what might happen is that your brain will actively fight this new habit, this new thinking and behavior of yours. And it might actually go into what's called cognitive dissonance, where it's literally going to fight you on this new approach of yours. The hack to that is often to start really, really small, but start somewhere. And that momentum then can build up to quite life-shifting, life-changing momentum. Now, I think you said something like, how wanting to have control on the outside, it reminded me of this, like, when you're looking for control on the outside, you're actually wanting control on the inside. Is that kind of
Absolutely.
what you were talking to, yeah?
Absolutely. And I just want to say one thing, because we're like 20 minutes into this conversation, and I don't want people to understand one thing very wrong. Because there is nothing wrong about designing your life how you want it to be designed. There is nothing wrong in changing. There is nothing wrong in moving around, being digital nomad. There is nothing wrong in doing van life, if that's what you want. But I think that the huge change is to make that change not because something is pushing you, but because something is pulling you. You know what I mean? So something is attractive to me, but I don't need this. I want this. It's a lot of people say it also in terms of relationships and stuff like that. It's just like, I know who I am. I know what I want. There's nothing bothering me. And I feel like doing this is different than I cannot stand here anymore. I need to run away somewhere.
There you go.
That is very different approach, even though your actions might still be the same. Like I might want to, we were talking about doing van life with James for 2 years, but, it comes from a different place. So it is that mindset, I think, and the mindset is in expectation. You don't expect this change to do something for you. It might be pleasant, but you don't put that pressure on that change. Right?
This is beautiful. This is perfect, I think.
Sorry, I didn't answer your question, I don't think.
No, well, I can't even remember the question. So never mind. What you're on to now is brilliant. Listen, I really like what you just said, because that's really the distinction of this conversation today, isn't it? Where, and we can address Amelia's comments here shortly. This is the essence of it. Like, stop running away from things and choose to run towards something. Because there is a difference to run away versus running towards. It's a difference between leaving something and moving towards something.
Absolutely.
So I like how you made that distinction, and also the connection with expectations. And I kind of want to unpack that a little bit as we move forward. But also, maybe we can address one of the comments from Amelia. So for anyone who's listening, let me just read this out loud. I work with people on subconscious biology, emotions, energy, and mind levels. Then things happen much faster and easier. Yeah, I can see that. Still, we need actions, and we are continually people in constant stage of progress. But that is completely different state of being. Yeah.
If I can say one thing, because I am not hiding the fact that I have been in therapy for a long time. I have in my worst times, I searched for help. I'm actually still in therapy. I'm still working on some stuff. And I actually even tried hypnotherapy. And I'll tell you that I found out that subconscious mind is a very interesting thing. Even though I'm a very skeptical person, like you would not attach me probably to hypnotherapy. But it's a very interesting thing. Because you can learn a lot about yourself. And this is where kind of different thing comes in, coaching or therapy or whatever it is. I think it's worth sometimes, even if you don't have these huge problems in your life, if you see that you have specific pattern reoccurring, that maybe something is up there, reach out to a coach, reach out to a psychologist, because it might just help you. And it doesn't have to be horrific, horrible trauma. It might be something that you're just like, oh, that's interesting. Why am I doing that again? I don't know. Let me ask someone and let's work around it to be, different in the future, not to repeat that pattern. So I agree with you, Amelia. I know that there is a lot to unpack there. Of course, everybody will find their own way, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, and again, you put really great words around this topic, I think. And we got a comment saying, they love your energy, Agata, and I think that is definitely something I agree with.
That's my most often got compliment. My energy.
Yeah.
It's from my dad. We all are like this.
Well, it doesn't seem to hurt, so it's definitely a good thing. So, okay, what about expectations? What do you have to say about that? What do you want to say about that?
I would like to say, first of all, if you notice that you're doing it, like before we will even think about how to get it off, what I want to say is that when you remove expectations from your life will become so much more enjoyable. We are prisoners of expectations, and I think kind of that is also our way to trying to predict the future, predict the outcome, because we think to ourselves, okay, if I just get this promotion, I am going to be happy, right? That is why you have that expectation, not, oh, it will be nice to work on this new job position because I will enjoy it, or like I will be prestigious enough, or I will be happier in sunshine, like I will be something when this happens. Why can't you be that now? Where's the issue? When you really start asking yourself these questions, it's completely a different thing. So yeah, you can have, of course, expectations of other people, you can have expectations of your own, but first of all, expectations are not reality. We all saw the meme expectations versus reality. You cannot predict the future. You cannot you all went out for magic holiday, and then you were stuck on the airport for 5 hours, and when you arrived it started raining, the bus didn't come, and you were all you thought it's going to be all of that, and it was horrible, and the other day you thought it was going to be horrible, turned completely different. Expectations are useless. Expectations are there just to be. I think you had one post anyway that it primes us for disappointment.
Yeah It does, yeah. It really sets us up for disappointments. I was actually having this conversation, almost a 2-hour conversation today with a client around this, with expectations. It really is that thing. The Buddhists, they will say that expectations are the root of the human suffering. So I mean, and they've been around for a while, so I think they have some credibility in this topic. And I do think that sometimes, having, so I don't know if that's the post you're referring to, but I talk sometimes about having agreements versus having expectations. That to create an agreement is to show some courage and creativity because you get to create it. Having expectations, that's cowardly. Because you're walking around wishing for things, hoping for things, or expecting things, but you're not actually taking a stand for it. You're not actually, courageously making it happen because you're not creating an agreement. Now, people will say, well, you can't always agree that things should go certain ways. Well, no, and you're absolutely right. And that's why I'm saying you might be focused on the wrong thing. You might be focusing on things that you have no control over. Now, you can make agreements in the inner circle, right? You can make agreements with people and you can't control if they follow through or not, but at least you've created a way to start having a dialogue around that. But yeah, expectations, I love how you said it, they are useless.
Yeah, and you know what? It's so crazy how we still set ourselves. It's difficult not to have expectations, don't get me wrong. And I think that very often, again, our expectations almost come from our insecurities. Because the longer I live, the more I think that majority of people are very insecure people. And they latch on to many things to make them feel more secure in themselves, or like the world is supposed to give them something, because they don't think that they can get it for themselves. So the only way is to expect, and this way get it, right? So if I work very hard, I am going to be rich. Not necessarily, Or if I behave this way, if I do lip injections, I'm going to find love. Not necessarily, So like world owes you nothing. And that's, I think it's super empowering. People will be like, that's horrible thing to think, right? I think it's fantastic because it's like, okay, that don't owe me anything. So I'm free. I'm free of expectations. I can now live in, I make actions that I think can lead to something. And if it doesn't, I can learn why, maybe readjust. It never will give me guarantees. I can start focusing more time on myself, which is, for example, instead of, oh, I didn't get that promotion again, horrible recruiting people, I'm going to try somewhere else again. I can be instead, because I don't feel threatened by that happened, right? Because I know, okay, maybe it wasn't a good fit. I don't feel like, oh, I'm horrible, that's why I didn't get this job. I can be like, okay, what were they looking for? What could I bring them that I didn't? Is there anything? Maybe there was just another person that they liked more. What can I adjust to do it? So our expectations are cowardly because they take the responsibility off us to make the action. But they're also somehow connected with the insecurity, as in, it's never my fault if it doesn't come true.
Yeah, there you go. Which is the whole thing. When you blame something or someone for your circumstances, chances are that the likelihood of you giving away your power to change is just 100%. Like that is what happens.
Exactly.
That's a very good point that you just made about this whole thing about, how we, which is kind of what I said as well, how it's cowardly and we're giving away the responsibility. I'm wondering, insecurity. All right, let me come back to that. We can maybe address this. To not have, from Emilia then, so to not have, or actually not to be attached to expectations, desires, wants, wishes. There is a lot of self-responsibility needed in regards to our emotions and well-being and life overall. Yeah, absolutely. I think overall, expectations and attachment, like attached to an outcome, is a version or a variation, I think, of expectations. Like we're expecting something to go a certain way. And then when it doesn't, we feel disappointed because we were attached to the outcome. So something that came to mind when you started on this topic is this, the way I heard this being told, and it's kind of, I think I borrowed pieces of this from Tony Robbins, like the world's life coach, where he talks about there is a science to success and there is an art to fulfillment. And it's a science of success because success leaves clues. So you can study it and you can replicate it. If you read 100 books on the topic of success, there are tips and tricks and hacks that you can learn and apply. And if you do, you're going to see some level of success most likely. Therefore, a science. Fulfillment is more of an art form because it's very individual. What fulfills me might not fulfill you. Now, if you have success without fulfillment, that's the worst kind of success because it means you have everything and yet you're missing something. And to me, that is what a lot of times goes on when we focus on the external world too much. We manipulate, we create, we curate everything around us, and yet we still come up feeling empty and hollow on the inside. So, and it's not that you can't do both. It's not a matter of either or. I think it really is both. Of course, design the world, the life you want, and also make sure that you're doing some of the work on the inside. Before this show today, I did a short Instagram story where I talked about, it was a related topic to what we were talking about today, where I said, that the key to a happy life is to want what you have. Because if you think about it, a lot of times we spend a lot of time thinking about other things rather than the things we do have. And in that pursuit, in that strive for something else, or ambition for something else, we miss out on what we have, we miss out on life. So, all right, we got a big question from one of our viewers. So if James want to pull that up from Annika, who decide? Oh, here we go. From Annika then, all the way from Sweden. I think we create the problems so we get something to apologize and escape from. If we see the opportunity in adversity, then we will be both stronger and more positive, perhaps, I think. Yeah, for sure. I mean, so this is definitely interesting.
But this is a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
How people are addicted to negativity. How apparently it's a thing. I think I was addicted to adrenaline for a long, like negative emotions. I think one of my therapists said it in the past that I was addicted to negative emotions because it was easier in a way. It also, just like you said, well, of course, it's kind of like victim playing, right? If you put yourself in a position of a victim, in a way, you clean your hands.
Yeah,
I don't have to do anything. I'm free.
Yeah.
You know, everything is happening to me. I have nothing to do with it. And people feel empowered by being a victim in a way. I know it sounds weird because you feel a victim, but in a way there is something like, oh, at least nobody asks me for that because at least no, I don't have to do anything. But yeah, absolutely, I think that people do create their own problems as well to escape from them later. How weird is that?
Yeah, but also because you could actually, it's kind of like. I don't know if we can say this, like make-up sex, right? I hope we can say this without this getting flagged on YouTube. But it's kind of like, you have fights and then you make up and it feels good. You feel closer all of a sudden because you had that fight, that horrible, situation. But then you feel closer. I'm not suggesting that to be used as a strategy because I think you can achieve closeness in many better constructive ways. But it's almost like that you create these micro problems or even bigger problems. And then because you overcome them, you maybe get a hit of, endorphins or adrenaline and you kind of feel slightly better.
Yeah, and that contrast make you feel even more of a high. And it's funny that you actually said it about makeup sex because I know a couple who is just like that, and I find it so sick, like to the point that you scream and shout at each other all day long just to have a good and feel fantastic the next day. Like, why can't you just feel fantastic? It's so but it is like drugs. You feel you want to feel something. So from the negative, when you go from there up to there, wow, that's some high then. But it's
a roller coaster. So you mentioned this, and I think you're onto something when you said kind of like, well, once you have that, then everything will be better. Why can't you feel like that now? So one thing that I often think about when it comes to this is that, like, if you think about it, what is it that you want? Well, for example, let's go with a really simple example. Say that I want a flat screen TV. Okay, I want a flat screen TV. I think I want a flat screen TV, but I dare to argue that's not accurate. That's not really what I want. It's something else. What I want is the feeling of that flat screen TV. It's who I think I'll be, or the feeling that I'll have owning that flat screen TV. So if I were in a conversation with you or someone supporting me and helping me, coaching me in this, someone could ask me, Adam, what do you think you will feel? What will you have as an experience when you have that flat screen TV? Well, I'm going to watch Justice League, the extended Snyder cut 4 hours, on that one, because I'm going to be super happy. I did it. I already watched it. So I'm happy. I'm going to do that. Okay, cool. And what's the feeling? What's the feeling you'll have? And,
I think, sorry.
Yeah, cool. Let me let you in as soon as I just finish this. So it's the feeling, right? So that's the feeling I'm after. Well, here's what I think about feelings. we generate them. So if I generate the feeling, then I don't need the flat screen TV. It came from me. I just made the flat screen TV being the vehicle of that feeling, but the feeling came from inside. So that points me towards what's possible in terms of you can create it. You have that capability. Do you want to add something to this, Agata?
Oh, absolutely. Because I think that's you put it so great that we are always chasing the feeling, because we think as you said, if I have success, I'm going to feel this. But you have to kind of notice your thought pattern. And I want to say that from my journey, I learned a lot of things because I tried a lot of things. And it is important to try a lot of things. But like with everything, like with your health, like with your mental health, like with your journey in life, you have to start observing as well how certain things make you feel. So like you said, in the past, you bought yourself new iPhone and a week later you were depressed again. Well, clearly the iPhone didn't fix it, right? So the things maybe not fix it. But I think it's worth doing the other way around, writing down the things that light you up. Because sometimes when you are in a very dark space, it's easy. It maybe sounds easy to say that you can create the feeling, because we don't mean you lay down crying for a week and you will create happiness just like that, because you will just think happiness, where is it? Why I'm not feeling it? That's not how it works. But you can, if you learn who you are and what lights you up and what makes you happy, very often you will see there are not material things because they come and go. They are usually rarely even other people. There are some things that, for example, you love singing in the shower, and that makes your day. And when you sing, you get all hair foamy, like it's the best time of your day. Maybe it's having a coffee. I remember that, having a coffee or a lunch in front of the river in Umeå. I love that. And now sitting in front of the ocean makes me happy. I love that. It's not about necessarily chasing for the ocean, because I also love being quiet. Believe it or not. People find it hard to believe, but there are some stuff, for example, from our childhood that have given us pure joy that we don't remember anymore. Like some people love films, some people love music, some people love to express themselves in a different ways. Some people love people and they just take their energy and they feel fantastic just from that vibe. You can use this as a tool. You shouldn't, rely on that solely. Like, oh, if I cannot go roller skating today because it's raining, I'm going to be sad now. But if you learn yourself and what lights you up and what provoke which feelings, then you can also replicate these feelings later, because you know yourself. I don't know. It's difficult to explain what's in my head.
I think you're doing a good job, though. Yeah.
So you can then replicate this feeling because you know that joy. You remember that joy. You make active effort to create that joy in your life. Not wait for it. Not wait until my boyfriend brings me flowers. Not wait until my boss comes in and brings me. Not winning the lottery. No, you know what lights you up, and you go and you make conscious effort to do it. And then if you have a little spark of that joy, you can bring it back when you need it.
Yeah. No, I think that is a brilliant strategy. And if nothing else, what we're saying is, as we said before, success is an outside game, and fulfillment is more of an inside game. So Agata, what you spoke to right now, I think is a tool. It's a strategy you can use to start exploring the inside game, getting to know yourself more. Because and this happens to a lot of people who've been following me for a while or know me personally, they know this, that I used to be very, very materialistic. I used to buy a lot of stuff, clothes, shoes.
Shocking.
You didn't know this? Oh, yeah, we have to talk about this. I used to have more, when my partner first met me, she said, "You have more shoes than most women do." and she wasn't wrong. I had so much stuff. And the thing is, I think the main reason why I was so materialistic was that at the time I was working a lot, and which is not a problem per se. I just didn't have time to do the things I wanted to do, the things that really lit me up, as you said. So what I did then, because I still needed to feel good, so I bought stuff so I could feel for a couple of minutes, couple of hours, or days or weeks at a time. I'd feel good. I'd feel happy because I'd get that hit of dopamine or endorphins and adrenaline from buying things. So I had a lot of things, but I always needed to buy more things because the feeling left. It left me often very empty. So I think what you're saying now is to get to know yourself and to figure out what lights you up. And you realize a lot of times that the best things in life are free. And as Donatella Versace says, the next best things are super expensive. Right? And I think that's true. Yeah, the best things are free. I think so. Relationships, love, stillness, peace, kind of those things are free. And the next best things, they're very expensive. And everybody can choose to see the truth in that. But I think getting to know yourself, figuring out what lights you up, what makes you feel a certain way, and then figuring out activities, ways that you can sort of engage that and bring that more into your life is a beautiful way of working on your fulfillment.
Absolutely. And if I can touch on materialistic side of things, I actually don't want to say who, but I have someone in my very close family who is just like that. Very successful person, lots of money, spends it all of them, just because he doesn't have time. Oh, I said he. Okay, he doesn't have time. So I maybe, because I was very poor when I was a kid, and then it was also a different situation a little bit later in life. But I saw this person in my close surroundings patching their own sadness, I don't know, patching it up with the things that as kind of, rebellion, I'm not going to be like this. It was difficult because I did fall into that trap, when I started working in Sweden, I got a little bit more money. So I was like, oh, I can get this, I can get that. Other thing that I was always spending my money on supplements, not on things per se. But I knew that doesn't work already in a way. So this rebellion actually worked for me because I was just like, just because I'm not going to be like that, because I knew that this person wasn't happy. But as you said, the most important things for life is for free, and it sounds like a cliche that you see, on the bottle of, I don't know, on Instagram of some influencer, but it's true. And I think that it is very difficult to get to that point, and it takes a lot of self-analysis, just like everything in life. Again, whether it is your body, whether it is your mind, it takes a lot of analysis on when am I happy and how do I replicate it. And it's and I agree with you completely on that.
Well, happiness is an inner game. It's an inner game, right? It's not an outer game, because if it was, and again, we all know famous people, successful people who decided to opt out of life. They decided to leave. And if success was the way to happiness, more people would feel better, and they simply don't. I'm going to say, at least. So I think it really is like, there is a formula for happiness, it's said. And there is a formula for unhappiness as well. And it looks like this. The formula for unhappiness is this. Think about, and anyone listening into this, watching this, you can do this for yourself. Think about one area of your life where you're unhappy, something you're not, happy with. I know why. Without knowing what area it is, I know why you're unhappy. And I dare to say, you are unhappy with that thing because how it is right now is not it's not matching your expectations of how that thing should be. So for anyone who got lost in all of that, an example, you're unhappy with your car. for example. Okay, you're unhappy with your car. That's a very small area of your life, but let's go with it. I know why. Because what you expect a car to be about is not the car you have. It's not fast enough, it's breaking down, it's not red, it should be whatever. Whatever it is, it's not matching your expectations. Now, the formula for happiness is the same, only opposite. So if you think about an area you're actually happy with or content around, I know why. Without knowing the area, I know why. Because whatever it is you're thinking about is matching your expectations. So if you're happy with your relationship, I know why. Because your current relationship is exactly how you want a relationship to be. Now, if this is true, you could say then that when you're unhappy about something, you can either change the situation or change your expectations. You can either change the relationship or change the expectations. And I say, let's do a little bit of both. Right? I'm not going to say it's either or, but this is really the outside and inside game. And I say, let's do a little bit of both.
And I think we're prisoners of expectations from both ways. Because we expect certain things to be certain way, but we are prisoners of other people's expectations that we put too much weight on as being important. Because as you said, I actually read this article, something about fulfillment, right? That apparently most people are not fulfilled until to some extent they give back to others. In whatever extent it is, whether it is a charity, whether it is taking care of your niece, whether it is whatever, you cannot be truly fulfilled until you give to someone else. And I love that idea. And I think that you will also find it very much with, all of those rich, successful people. That might be the piece missing. Like connecting to others. And I started it from completely different from expectations, right? That
I like it. Yeah.
Freeing yourself also from expectations of others, but then bringing people something that you have extra because you freed yourself, you're your full self, you're your full potential, you know who you are, and then you have extra to give and you can give it to others. I think that's the way to live and be fulfilled.
I love that. I love that.
Mic
And I want to, yeah, exactly. That's it. We're done. Thank you very much, Agata. No, but I want to echo that. I think you're absolutely spot on. Personally, I think you are. It goes back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, I'm not saying you have to agree with this, but Maslow's hierarchy of needs teaches us there are different levels of our human needs. And depending on which model you subscribe to, Maslow himself realized close to his own death, in the beginning it was only 5 levels. Then at the end of his own life, he realized there were actually 6 levels. So, and I think the backstory behind that is interesting because he thought it was only 5 levels, and the top level being a self-expression or fulfillment, but basically becoming more who you are. He thought that was the height of human needs, that we all strive to be all we can be. That's how he said it, all we can be. Closer to his own death, because he continued researching this and developing this, he realized, oh no, there is a higher level. Once you get to that level of being all you can be, the next level is self-transcendence, giving back to other people. And I think when you look at, for example, ikigai, the purpose, meaning in Japanese, there are a lot of studies done on people living a long and happy life because they have an ikigai, which is purpose, a reason to live. And there is a great book in theory called the Blue Zones Theory, where they study this. And they say that's people have an ikigai, and that ikigai is to contribute, to be useful for other people. And that is what helps them stay strong, healthy, and live long and happy lives. So I think, even though I said before that fulfillment is an art form because it's very individual, I still think there is a little bit of a recipe there. And if there were a recipe, I'd say it's this. It's about you becoming more of who you are, finding ways to express that uniqueness, and then sharing that with the world. That, I think, when you start doing that, you will have something that someone would call fulfillment. Now, you have that, and you have all the success on the outside as well. You're going to enjoy that much, much more. But having all of that on the outside without being who you are, finding ways to express that and finding ways to share that with the world. And with the world, I'm not saying that you have to get on stages and teach and coach and all of that. No, all you have to do is share it with your family, share it with your best friend, write a journal. Like it's just a way for you to express it.
I couldn't agree more. And I also want to say one thing, that I think people also put the wrong weight on many things. I don't know why I thought of this stuff, but probably because you mentioned about this special guy in Japan, right?
Yeah.
We put a lot of pressure on ourselves for success. At least maybe it's just the surroundings that I was in. As in, first I get success and then I think about my happiness.
Yes.
And I think that that's a really bad way to approach things. Like, for me, I have business that is still quite new, and starting a business is very difficult on both personal and business level. And it has been, I can say, the worst and the best time of my life. So it can be both, because if you are doing something that you find is aligned with yourself, even if it is difficult, it still gives you joy.
Precisely.
So grinding for success that doesn't give you joy to then trying to find it makes no sense. Try to find that, have that guy in your head, the fulfillment guy, at the same time as you're working for your success, as you're working for your happiness. Not when, then I. When, if then I will do this, Balance.
I think that's a very good point. Again, mic drop.
So many mic drops here.
Yeah, you're just dropping it. It's fantastic. I don't want to speak too soon because I kind of go oh, we need to extract that and make that the Instagram reel or something. I don't want to mess it up. No, it's brilliant. I really thank you so much for sharing all of these ideas, Agata. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm also thinking, because we're coming up on the hour here, you're on this journey yourself, and you've done all of these transformations, shifts, and switches in your own life. What is it that you could, as a maybe a final tip or a message for anyone who's thinking about this, going I don't want to be a victim of my circumstances or my life anymore. I want to stop running away from something and start running towards something. What can you say to anyone who's listening today?
That is very light question.
Yeah, I know. Do we have another 30 minutes?
No, yeah, exactly. No, I would say, listen inside. Mm-hmm. Slow yourself down. Focus on loving yourself and knowing yourself, and everything else will come one step at a time. Mm. I think that's probably the most crucial thing, because we are taught to move all the time, and we want to move all the time in any circumstances, and we want instant gratification. But if you learn to be silent, to look within yourself, it's more likely that you will find the answers. And one more thing, it is going to be right answers, because you can find a lot of answers that are going to be wrong, and you can keep on running your whole life until you're 85. It's worth to stop and pause before you do another change, do another decision, for this decision to be the right one for you, real you.
There you go. That's perfect. Yeah. Again, we should have a counter. We should have like a mic drop counter. We would be maxing it out today.
Oh, we're going to do the slides. We're going to do one mic drop. Ding.
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. I love that. We have to bring that in. No, Agata, that was perfect. I mean, you said it. Oh, that's not a light question. Well, you answered it really, really well, I think. I think that is beautiful. James is now rolling the ways for people to connect with you, right? So people who wants to connect, anyone who wanting to connect with Agata and follow along on this journey. As I said before in the intro, you're also running this beautiful YouTube channel geared towards women and health and all of that. That's a beautiful place to also connect with you. So obviously you see all the links down below. Is there anything else, like, would you like people to connect with you or go somewhere specific to find out more about you or what you do?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, following both Cruz Creative and me would be great. And I want to say, don't be afraid to send me a message if you want to chat about anything. Andrea wants to see my cat. Let me show the cat in the meantime. There is the cat. It's called Karma. She's actually from a Swedish village, so she's well-traveled cat as well. So yeah, definitely message me, contact me on LinkedIn. And yeah, my channel is very much geared towards women. But if you feel like having the safe space to talk about women's health, this is my way of giving back in a way that makes me light up. So make sure you follow my YouTube channel as well.
Fantastic. And we got a lot of love bombs coming in. People are enjoying this conversation. And, if you did, please, I love the fact that you're leaving these comments. That really means a lot. And make sure that you subscribe to this channel to stay in the loop. Make sure that you connect with Agata, because the conversation keeps going. She's got a lot of smart things and very valuable things to share and say. So definitely. All right. So Agata, thank you very much for joining the show. It was a pure pleasure, a really, really powerful conversation. This hour just went by because it was such a present conversation. I really thank you for that. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right. See you later, yeah? Well, friends, what can I say? This was an amazing conversation. I am super, super grateful that Agata decided to be on this show with me and talk about such a powerful topic. It was a topic powerful for her personally. It was a conversation that we didn't have any talking points. We didn't really know where this was going to end up. And I'm really pleased and satisfied with exactly the way we went with this. And judging from your comments and your interactions, it feels like you got something from this. And I'm super happy, because that is the intention behind this Life Switch show, to bring you some value around the areas of your own life where you're considering a switch. So before I say goodbye to you all, remember, if you're tuning in on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. That way you get notified every time we go live and we put anything else out there. Also, if you're on Facebook, don't forget to like my page, Adam Pawlak, Business Mindset Coach. That way you will get notified when we go live or put anything else out there. Next week, we're tuning in. We're back in the same place at the same time, 6 p.m. UK time. I hope I see you then. And until then, take care. And remember to start exploring what lights you up. I think that was a brilliant advice from Agata, and I thank her very much for sharing that with me. Guys, go get lit up.